All right. So for number one, it's just subtraction, just combining like terms. Okay, maybe on the exam it might be addition, but you guys can handle. Put the phones away, please. This won't take us long. So, combining like terms, what's 9x cubed minus 3x cubed? 6x cubed. What's negative 4x squared minus 2x squared?
Minus 6x squared.
Good. What's nothing minus 7? Minus 7. So you might have forgot to make it minus 7. Hopefully you did it correctly. But that's all. You guys could have done this problem first day of school back in August, right?
Yeah.
You know how to combine like terms. Okay. Number 2. Product means what? Multiply. So 3x times 2x cubed is 6x to the 4th. Add your exponents. 3 times negative 3 is negative 9x to the 3rd. 3 times 2, positive 6x squared. And 3 times 4, 12x. Okay? Then you got to do the negative 2, right? Which is negative 4x cubed. And negative 2 times negative 3 is positive 6x squared. And negative 2 times a positive 2 is negative 4x. And negative 2 times positive 4 is wrong, negative 8, right? Now we just combine like terms again, right? To finish it up. So we got a 6x to the 4th, negative 13x cubed, positive 12x squared, positive 8x, and minus 8. Any questions? So you guys know how to distribute or multiply binomial times polynomial, right?
Yes, sir.
Just remember to add the exponents, right? Multiply the coefficients, add the exponents. Right, synthetic division. Since we're divided by x minus 1,
X plus 1.
what do I put in the corner?
Positive 1.
Positive 1, right. What makes that equal to 0 is what you want to put in the corner, okay? Now, you use the coefficients. You got a 3x cubed. You got a negative 5x squared. What's missing? An x, right? So what do I put when something's missing?
0.
Good. Go in order, okay? You didn't need anything left. You know, you don't need an x to the 4th, 5th, or 6th, but you need everything after x to the 3rd, right? So make sure you add zeros if you need to. Put a line in here, but give yourself some space to put some numbers under these 3 numbers to the right there, negative 5, 0, negative 2. We drop the 3 below the line. And how do we start?
1 times 3 is 3.
1 times 3, right? We multiply, right, Noah?
Yes.
And we put that answer above the line. What do we do with those 2 numbers? Yeah, we add those 2 numbers, okay? Sometimes we forget that. Sometimes we subtract because we don't listen and talk while Mr. Mattingly's talking, right, Ryan? Zito? Luca? Not Ryan, your dad's Ryan, right? So when I add those, I get negative 2. Then I multiply again. 1 times negative 2 is negative 2. And then I add those and get negative 2 again. So multiply those 2 again and add, you get negative 4. Okay? So how do we write our answer? No. No, yeah. So remember,
You subtracted by 1.
what do we subtract by 1?
The exponent.
Yeah, the exponent.
Always.
So we started out with x cubed, so our answer, first term,
X squared.
is x squared. Okay? So This is x squared minus 2x minus 2. What do we do with this negative 4? Right, we put it over what we were dividing by. That's our remainder. So there's our answer. If we would get a 0 here on the end, we don't have to worry about a remainder then, right? Any questions? Pretty easy, right? Number 4. When we factor, what's the first thing we do? GCF. What's the second thing we look for? Difference of squares, right? That's subtraction, right? Number 3, difference or sum of cubes. These two are binomials, which means what? 2 terms, yeah. 4 and 5 is a special trinomial and regular trinomial. So I'm just going to say trinomials, which means how many terms? 3. And we can do special trinomials like a regular trinomial, so I'm not going to worry about that. And then number 6 we call grouping, where we had 4 more terms, right? We group them, which we're going to do at number 5. Okay, but that's basically the thought process I always go through when I do a factoring problem. I ask myself if there's a GCF, then I look and see if it's difference of squares or sum or difference of cubes if it's only got 2 terms. If it's got 3 terms, I jump down here and do it as a trinomial. If it's got 4 or more, then I do grouping. Okay? So anyway, what's the GCF of this one? 4x cubed, right? Right? You want the greatest. 4 is the biggest number, and then the smaller exponent of the variable that shows up in every one. So the 3 is smaller than 5. Then I divide those 2 terms by the 4x cubed. So this will have 2 terms in it. Sometimes we only put 1 term in there because there might have been a 4x cubed here, and you guys say, oh, they cancel out, so I don't put anything. Well, if things cancel out, you put the number 1, okay, when you're factoring. So anyway, 4x to the 5th divided by 4x to the 3rd is 1x to the 2nd. And negative 100 divided by 4 is negative 25. The x cubes cancel, right? Mm-hmm. Is it finished?
No.
No, because that parenthesis is number 2 on our list. What? Difference of squares. So here's what we do for those. We make 2 sets and square root those. So x for the square root of x squared, 5 for the square root of 25, plus and minus. Yeah. So that's factored completely now. You guys have gotten pretty good at factoring. So it shouldn't be that tough of a problem for you. Okay? All right, number 5. Number 4, we're just factoring. We're not solving. Number 5, we got to solve. We got to figure out what x equals. Since it's x cubed, how many answers should there be? 3 answers. Okay? 3 answers, Zito. You don't want to live past today, do you, Zito? When it's got 4 terms, we group them. Okay? I look to see if there was a GCF. There isn't for all 4. But once I group them, there is a GCF for each group. What's the GCF for the first group?
X squared.
Good. What's the GCF for the second group? Right. Whenever the 3rd term is negative like this one, pull out the negative sign. Even though maybe that 75 was positive, that's okay. You still pull out the negative if that would happen. Okay? So what do I get when I divide x cubed by x squared? What's 3x squared divided by x squared? 3. What's negative 25x divided by negative 25? And what's negative 75 divided by negative 25? Positive 3. Is it working out like we want? Yeah, we want these blue parentheses to be the same thing, which they are. So that's one of my factors. What's my other factor? That difference of squares, which we just got done doing, right? So we got to finish factoring. And we just did this one, but x minus 5 and x plus 5. Now, some of you stop here. Am I finished? No. Remember, there's 3 answers. We want to find out what x equals. Okay, so finishing up, you guys should be able to tell me by looking at these factors what the x's equal. Negative 5 there, positive 5 there, and negative 3 there. Any questions on that one? Just make sure you're finished. And
Just put x equals plus or minus 5.
yeah. Okay. We good? All right. Troy, you got this? Good. Number 6. When we got a square in a problem and we're trying to solve it, we want to get the squared part alone. So is the squared part alone? Yes. Right? The x plus 7 squared, that's all by itself. If there was numbers out front, like 2 times it, I'd have to divide the 2 over. If there was like a plus 2 out the back, I'd have to subtract 2 over. So I get the x squared alone. But it's already alone, so I could do what to get rid of the square? Square root. Good. What's the square root of something squared?
Itself.
Itself. What's the square root of 256? 16. But remember, when we're solving like this, you got to put your plus or minus symbol in. And gets x alone by subtracting the 7. So go ahead, since those are both whole numbers, find both of those answers. So 9 is one answer, and negative 23 is the other. Okay? Because of that plus or minus. Any questions? Again, if you get stumped on that, and this is one of the multiple choice ones, you can take your choices and plug them in the original problem, see if it works, right? So if you get stumped every now and then, and it so happens to be a multiple choice one, there's ways to figure it out, even though maybe the way I'm looking for you to do it isn't available to you right then. Okay? Which happens sometimes. Sometimes you get a little block there. Okay, this is called composition of functions, okay? When there's not f plus or f minus g or whatever times or divide. This means I'm taking the g of x, that whole thing, and I'm putting it into the f, meaning the g of x goes in to the f right there. Okay, if it was the other way, if it was this order, I'd take this and I would put it there. You guys understand? Remember that? Okay, so we're doing the red one. So we're going to go the square root, and where that x is, we're putting 2x plus 3. So we put that in place of the x. Don't forget there's a minus 2 there. Is that as far as I can go, or can I simplify that? You can simplify it. What's 3 minus 2? 1. So this is what be the answer to number 7. Okay? So if you can simplify, you should. All right? Any questions on that? Okay, number 8. This is like, I already did this type of problem on where we do this. Here, we multiply the coefficients. What do we do to the exponents? Add, right? So this is the same type of problem. Some of you get all, oh, that's the wrong one. You get all messed up. What's the coefficients in front of these two x's?
1.
1. What's 1 times 1?
1.
Do I need to worry about it?
No.
So what do I do with the exponents?
Cancel.
Add them. So 5 sevenths plus 3 sevenths is 8 sevenths. We good on the top part?
Yeah.
Now I got the same variable top and bottom. So I told you guys to look where the bigger exponent is. Where's the bigger exponent? Top or bottom? Top. So where's the x stay? Top. Okay. If it was reversed, if the 8 sevenths was in the bottom and the 1 seventh was up top, the x would stay in the bottom. Remember that? Okay. So x is in the top, so you just leave it there. Nothing else is going to be in the bottom, so you don't need your division bar. What do I do with the exponents? Subtract them. Yes. What's 8 minus 1? Can I reduce 7 sevenths? Yeah. X to the first, which is x. Okay? But maybe it was, 6 sevenths minus 1 seventh. Then you put 5 sevenths, right? Okay, so it won't always come out to a whole number like that. That one just so happened to do that. We good on that? Okay, fourth root. To simplify this, what am I looking for in here? Groups of 4. Good. All right, so we do a factor tree for the 48, and we just look at groups of 4 on the variables. Okay? So on the 48, let's just go by 2s. 224, 2 times 12, 2 times 6, 2 times 3. Do I have a group of 4 or something?
Yes.
Yes. I have 4 2s, right? So what can I do with that 2?
Take it outside.
Take it out front. Okay? Some of us got this backwards during the year. The one that you have the group of 4 of comes out in front of the radical sign. Whatever's left stays under the radical sign. So the 3 was left, it stays under that 4th root of 3. Now I'm looking at the variables. I got 4 x's. So what can I pull out front? Just 1 x. I got 8 y's. How many groups of 4 is that? 2. So I can pull 2 y's out. What is y times y?
Y squared.
Y squared. Okay, on the z's, there's 11 z's. How many groups of 4 do I have? 2. So z squared out front. Questions so far? James?
You put a Z under the right.
Yeah, I got these 3 left, right? This group gave me a z and this group, so there's 2 there. So those 3 are left. They go back underneath, right? So this is z to the 3rd there. Questions? Is that making sense? Kenzie, you okay? All right. All right, one more. All right, here's what I do on these. Some of you just subtracted them and stopped. If you stop, you're not finished. What do you have to do after you subtract them? Plug the 2 in for all the x's, right? What I like to do is plug the 2 in first and then subtract. Your choice on how you want to do it. But if you do it this way, you just, once you get it plugged in, you can just put it on your calculator, right? Does that make sense? Okay, so if you do it like this, you can just plug all that in your calculator and get each answer. But after you get the 2 answers, what do you got to remember to do? You've got to remember to subtract them, okay? Sometimes we forget that. All right, so this is 8. 2 times 2 times 2 times 9, that's 72. That's 2 times 2, 4. That's 76. Minus 1 is, so that answer is 75. This one is 8, but it's negative 8. This is 4, but negative 4. This is 10 and minus 8. All right, so negative 12 plus 10 is negative 2, minus 8 is back to negative 10, right? Addie, all right?
Yeah, I just don't have 85.
Well, it's 75. There's the F minus the G.
Oh, so
Minus the negative is plus, right? So 85 is the correct answer.
would it be okay? Because like I just put the whole entire problem into my calculator. It's like 9, like instead of like splitting it up and then adding it. Is that like too risky?
Well,
I mean, I got 85.
you got 85.
Yeah.
You remembered minus and then you put another negative in when you put it in. Yeah, that's okay if you just remember that those two go in a row,
I
right?
wrote it down like that.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
All right. That's it for today. Good job. Thanks for listening.